Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Brooklyn, take one. Hello, everyone. And today, it is going to be the cheapest episode ever. There's not going to be any fancy montage clips, music, or anything like that. It's just me talking to you. And today's episode of Brooklyn, I don't even remember what episode today is. Today is episode 32, and today is November 9th, 2018. This video is going live and probably in the next hour, so this is going to be quick. No editing. If I make a mistake, this is almost close as live as possible. So today's episode, I'm going to be discussing about books. And don't stop. Don't turn off that dial or icon or whatever. I'm going to be discussing about cool books that you could buy for people during the holidays, or for people just because you like to be nice to people. All right, so the first book that I want to recommend, this is the top on the list, is Room to Dream by David Lynch and Christina McKenna. Now, this is the biography of the famous director David Lynch. And if you are a David Lynch fan, I don't know why you haven't even purchased this book already, because it is incredible. Don't let the size of this book scare you, because it's filled with a lot of great anecdotes, photos, and the way that this is structured is kind of neat. The first chapter would be just an autobiographical type of information by the author Christina McKenna, and then the next chapter is about the same time period of the previous chapter, but written by David Lynch. So you're getting the close to reality, and then what David Lynch perceives as reality. And believe me, sometimes it's vastly different. And he has interesting photos, like on the set of, that looks like it's Twin Peaks probably. Yeah, that's the log lady, right? Yeah, there's the log lady. So that's on the set of Twin Peaks and so forth. Highly recommended, Room to Dream. Another book I recommend reading, I actually haven't read this. Wow, I just knocked over the camera almost. That was not an earthquake, that was the camera. The next the next book I want to discuss is Space Odyssey by Michael Benson. I haven't read this yet. My wife gave it to me for my birthday, and it's on my list of reading probably by next week. And this is the biography of the movie Space Odyssey 2001. Is it called Space 2001? 2001 Space Odyssey? I haven't prepared for this book review at all. But anyways, this has a lot of, it's detail about the entire history of the movie, making of the movie. There's interesting color photos in the middle of it, and it's highly regarded by a whole bunch of people. Martin Scorsese liked it, Tom Hanks liked it. I'm sure you'll like it. If you're a 2001 fan, this is a great book to read. I myself always like to read books about movies, because sometimes the stories behind creating the movies is even more fascinating than the movie. Although 2001, let's be real, it's a pretty good movie. All right, another book I want to recommend. This isn't a recent book that hasn't come out. These two books have come out recently in the past few months. This one has been out for ages, but I discovered this by accident at a bookstore a few months ago. And this is a short story anthology, and it's by Shirley Jackson, and it's called Dark Tales. Now, this is a creepy book. I have to warn you. It's not creepy as in like blood and gore, but it's psychologically, it really messes with your head. Shirley Jackson is an insanely amazing writer, and the things that she talks about in horror is stuff that just adults would find very disturbing. So I highly recommend it. You might have had to read Shirley Jackson in high school. She wrote the famous short story The Lottery, which is entirely the reason why I don't play the lottery, is because of Shirley Jackson's The Lottery. So definitely Shirley Jackson Dark Tales I would recommend. The next one I want to recommend, this one I actually know the author. This is from my friend Mr. Reusch, who's an artist based out in Boston, and he just came out with a comic book. Of course I have to talk about comic books. All right, he came out with his own comic book that it took him an entire year to make. And if you can tell, it's actually painted Most all of it is painted, so it's a not non-traditional. But check out the detail in the painting and everything. And it's giant size as well. It's $10. There's he sells it on Etsy. I'll put a link down below. By the way, I'm not getting paid by any of these authors or anything like that. I just think you'll like it. If you'll probably like it. So it's really cool. It's spooky, and it has amazing artwork on it. Another, and finally, last but not least, I want to recommend, and I'm still reading it, so it might actually be really. I'm going to recommend another book after this, but I'm going to recommend, here's my second to last recommendation, is this book just came out right before Halloween, the week or two before Halloween, and this is Anne Rice, The Blood Communion. And this continues the story of the vampire Lestat as part of the, what they call the vampire anthology series of books. I don't know what the hell that would be called. Well, anyways, it's the series, it's the genre. Anne Rice has written it, and this continues on to it. There are several books that were before this. If you haven't read it, those previous books, you don't have to worry, because there's a quick, synopsis, more of an exposition by one of the characters that explains it. But this is written in first person by the vampire Lestat. I highly recommend it. It also has some interesting illustrations in it. It's not that big of a read neither, so you could probably read it in a few weeks or a night if you're a fast reader, I suppose. And then finally, I want to recommend one book which is actually very difficult to find, but this was recommended by Neil Gaiman as one of his favorite books about creepy things. And this is called Painted Devils. It's an anthology by Robert Aikman, and it has this great cover that was illustrated by Edward Gorey. He was a fantastic illustrator. And this is a lot of psychological horror as well. So if you like psychological horror, I definitely recommend this one. And then, where is the other one? Oh, over here. And this one, I definitely recommend that. If you like movies, or if you're in the production of movies, I definitely recommend these two. And if you like creepy comic books with fantastic art illustration, I recommend this comic book. And I think that is all I'm going to talk about today. Next episode's going to be fun and exciting. You'll find it soon, next week. If you like this episode, please give it a like. Subscribe, otherwise you're going to miss out on all the exciting episodes. We have a lot of new exciting episodes coming out. And that is all I have to say. And Dolby, who's down there beside my feet, also asks you to like this video as well. And if you have any recommendations of what books for people should read that recently came out, please write it down here. Well, not here where I'm at, not in the screen, but down in the comment section on YouTube, and put a link in there for people to find it. All right, thank you, and have a good night. And that's a wrap.